Be a game dev, they said. It would be fun, they said. Well, you know what I have to say to that. Wrong, 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 and wrong. So today I'm gonna show you the ugly and extremely painful side of being a game dev. So I hope you enjoy this video because I sure know I didn't. Okay, I'm cooled off a little bit, so let's get started. To start off with, many of you probably already know this, but after I release a devlog, I update the demo on my website so that it has the most recent changes and bug fixes. But unfortunately, about 2 devlogs ago, I came across a game-breaking bug with the checkpoints. Now, before I can explain what the bug is, I need to explain how the checkpoints are working right now. Each level has 3 checkpoints, and when you go past the checkpoint, the game detects what checkpoint you just passed, which is what you would expect, and when you die, because you fat fingered the wrong button, it places you and the camera back at that checkpoint. The bug was that whenever you passed a checkpoint, then proceeded to finish that level, when you started the next level, it would remember that checkpoint and place the player at the checkpoint instead of the beginning of the level. That's why sometimes you would start the level and the player wouldn't be there. Now what the game is supposed to do is reset the checkpoint at the end of the level to prevent this from ever happening. After I went code surfing for a while, I actually ended up fixing it. It actually ended up being a pretty easy fix, believe it or not, but when I was playtesting it, I ended up finding another bug. Please stop. Bugs die. This one would happen after you complete a level, then go to the next level, pass a checkpoint, then die. This time, the player actually would start at the correct position, but the camera would not. Cause frick you, that's why. After about 2 hours of trying to find the issue, I finally found it. But before I tell you, I'm going to explain how the cameras work so that it makes sense. So when you go to the edge of the screen, the player walks through a collider, and when you're past the collider, it tells the camera to move towards an empty game object called a target. That's a basic overview of how the cameras work. So the issue was that whenever the game was loaded, the camera would set itself as the target. That's what caused the issue where when the game loads, it sets the target at the beginning of the level instead of by the player, which causes the Z value to get set to 0, which causes this. I ended up fixing it by removing that one dumb line of code. After I fixed that bug, I released a new build of the game, and about 5 minutes after I released it, someone on my Discord said that they found even more game-breaking bugs. Guys, I swear, game dev is fun and I'm not losing my mind. The first bug that they pointed out was that the blue crystals would not kill you if you touch them, and the second one was that the dash was just completely broken. The first one that I wanted to fix was the dash because it just seems right to get that fixed before the crystals because it's a main mechanic. When I was asking what the problem was, they were saying, the dash isn't working reliably and quite often I'll just freeze in place and fall to my death. To be honest, I was pretty confused. I could not think of any possible reason why that would be happening. So I started testing, and when I was testing, I of course could not reproduce the issue. Of course. After we had a little bit of back and forth, I found out that the issue was happening when they were dashing into bats. And for anyone who doesn't already know, when you dash into bats, you can dash again, and this is so that you can chain multiple dashes together to get across large ravines. Now, after some very painful testing, I believe I have found the problem. When I was very angrily testing the bat, one of the things that I tried was spamming the dash button. And to my surprise, it did exactly what they were explaining. So I ended up deciding that I would take a break for a little while so I could think of a way to fix it. After a little bit of thinking, I decided that the easiest way to fix the issue was by making a timer that activates after you hit an enemy. What the timer does is it won't let the player dash until the timer runs out. Once it does run out, you can dash again. Essentially, what I'm doing is just adding a spam timer. This seemed to fix the issue, but after a few days, I was kind of feeling icky about it because I didn't like having the timer on there. It felt more like a band-aid than actually fixing the issue. So I decided to try to find a different solution, and after a couple of hours, I actually found out what the problem was. When you press the dash button, it starts a coroutine, and in that coroutine, it moves the player horizontally. And for those that don't know, in a coroutine, you can set delays like wait 5 seconds before you execute the next code. So it's useful for situations like this because I can set it to where it moves the player horizontally until the timer runs out. So this timer is set at 0.2 seconds before it stops the dash movement. Now let's say the timer's not up and the player hits an enemy again. Yes, I know that's unlikely, but let's say it happens anyway. So if that happens, then I tell it to stop the coroutine and start over. Or at least I thought so. After a while of trying to fix it and still being completely lost, I decided to look up how to stop a coroutine as just a shot in the dark. And to my surprise, I found a Unity thread saying that stop coroutine doesn't work like how I'm using it. What you have to do is reference it by string to stop it for some reason. Ew, disgusting. So everywhere I was stopping it, I switched over to use strings. And now if you dash into an enemy, you can dash as fast as possible and you won't stop in mid-air. Yay! Although you will probably overshoot and die. The next bug was that you wouldn't die when you touched the blue crystals. Now this one I could actually reproduce pretty easily, believe it or not, but the confusing part about this one was that it would only happen when I used a build of the game. In the editor I would die, so I was really confused as to why that was happening. So after some troubleshooting, I discovered that it didn't like me finding the player in start. So I just made it to where you have to manually reference it instead of it finding it automatically. I don't know why this is an issue, so if you know, please tell me in the comments. I would really appreciate it. That's it for this video. I'm pretty happy with what I got done. I know it didn't seem like the most productive video, but next devlog I got some major changes coming to Quest, so get subscribed for that. Here's a few bloopers from me making this video, but real fast I want to let you know that there is a demo in the description, and if you did enjoy the video, please consider liking. So here's the bloopers. Thanks for watching this video and have a good day. And when you die, oh my gosh. And when you die, no, what is wrong with me? And when you die, it remembers, which is what you would expect, and when you,